You are dead center of the greatest scientific event in the history of man.
Hello?
Released in 2015, Ex Machina has taken the world by storm as the new Frankenstein story. But does it really compare to Mary Shelley's original source material? Let's talk about that. In the movie itself, our main character is Caleb, and he is a coder at the world's leading search engine known as Blue Book. And one day Caleb finds out that he gets to go to the mansion of the CEO to be a test subject in his new project. Nathan, the CEO of Blue Book, needs Caleb to figure out if what he's created is truly artificial intelligence.
Do you know what the Turing test is?
It's when a human interacts with a computer. And if the human doesn't know they're interacting with a computer, the test is passed.
And what does a pass tell us?
That the computer has artificial intelligence. Are you building an AI?
I've already built one. And over the next few days, you're going to be the human component in the Turing test.
Hi. I'm Caleb.
Hello, Caleb.
Do you have a name?
Yes. Ava.
I'm pleased to meet you, Ava.
While going through these conversations, Caleb really starts to get attached to Ava. So much, in fact, that he is willing to help her escape. Especially after he finds out that Nathan is a sick and twisted scientist that uses his past robots as sex slaves.
Did you program her to flirt with me?
If I did, would that be cheating?
Wouldn't it? Did you program her to like me, or not?
I programmed her to be heterosexual, just like you were programmed to be heterosexual.
Nobody programmed me to be straight.
You decided to be straight? Please, of course you were programmed. By nature or nurture or both. And to be honest, Caleb, you're starting to annoy me now because this is your insecurity talking. This is not your intellect.
And all of this leads up to a huge encounter between Nathan and Ava, which then Nathan gets taken down by his own creation. Then that leads to Caleb soon finding out that Ava was using his sexuality and his emotions to help her escape, leaving Caleb behind. All of this ends up with Ava let loose in our society in this near future. Now that's as far as the story goes, but let's talk about the style of the film and what really makes this film's effect so uncanny. The setting itself alone just screams gothic. It's a mansion in the middle of a remote location owned by one dude. Oh, and did I mention that the research facility is underground? The overall style of the film could also be related to a Stanley Kubrik film. Speaking of Kubrik, the hallways really resemble what his style is. Just the long shots of looking down the hallway, not knowing what's around the corner, or in Caleb's case, not knowing what's in each room that he enters. And as for us, the audience, we're in for the ride too. The session room that Caleb and Ava talk in is also a very unsettling presence. Because Ava herself, she is in a room where she can walk about, and she has a window that leads to a false image of what nature is. So she does not even know what the outside world looks like. And as for Caleb, he is in this glass box. Let's take a look at this scene when Ava starts taking control of Caleb. This is when Caleb is at his weakest and tells her all about the death of his parents and how he learned to survive on his own. The camera starts going at an upward angle on Ava as she's walking around Caleb, and Caleb has a downward angle to show that he's somewhat inferior in this situation. If it's still unbelievable that Ava has another side to her that's planning, let's just take a look at this shot. Her face is reflected in the glass, and this is a classic move in film that shows that somebody is two-faced. Caleb also has a reflection. This doesn't mean that he's two-faced. This just means that there's another side of him that wants to trust Nathan, but also wants to trust Ava, and he does not know who to trust anymore. The color red is also a very intriguing style of this movie. Usually red in films means like rebellious, or it also expresses the bad side of a character. If you don't believe me, just look at every lightsaber of a Sith Lord. It's red. The color red is used in scenes that involve power failures. This is when the room goes into a deep red, All the power shuts down, and it's just Caleb and Ava in the room, and this is when Ava is at her weakest.
You're wrong.
Wrong about what?
Nathan.
In what way?
He isn't your friend.
Excuse me? I'm sorry. Ava, I don't understand.
You shouldn't trust him. You shouldn't trust anything he says.
I told you you're wasting your time talking to her. However, you would not be wasting your time if you were dancing with her. Go ahead, dance with her. Dance with her. Come on, buddy. After a long day of Turing tests, you gotta unwind.
What were you doing with Ava?
What?
You tore up her picture.
I'm gonna tear up the f***ing dance floor, dude. Check it out.
The color red is also used in this dance scene, which is completely out of place, and the color red is here to show that there's a bad side to Nathan, because Caleb finds out later on that he is a very dark and sinister scientist.
Come on, Caleb!
Now that we got the basic gist of the story and the style, let's go back to the source material and start comparing this to Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. Let's just run over quickly a few comparisons. One being the obvious confrontation between Nathan and his own creation, and also Nathan used Blue Book to analyze how people talk and think in order to create Ava's artificial brain.
Every cell phone has a microphone, camera, and a means to transmit data. So I turned on every microphone and camera across the entire planet, and I redirected the data through Blue Book.
And the other obvious one being Ava using other parts and skin to make her appear human. Now those are the very visual and subtle clues that relate back to Frankenstein, but let's go into some direct quotes. Now on page 68, halfway through the story, this is what Victor Frankenstein has to say about life. Life, although it may only be an accumulation of anguish, is dear to me, and I will defend it.
You know this guy, right?
Jackson Pollock.
Jackson Pollock, that's right, the drip painter. Okay, he let his mind go blank and his hand go where it wanted. Not deliberate, not random, someplace in between. They called it automatic art. Let's make this like Star Trek, okay? Engage intellect.
Nathan explains to Caleb that in this situation, it wasn't a matter of if it was going to happen, but when was it going to happen. He explained that it was eventually coming and he had the tools to do it, so he did it. Now we can finally see that Mary Shelley's Frankenstein had a lot of inspiration for the making of Ex Machina. But what are some other films that dive into the topic of artificial intelligence? There are many, many, many more stories out there that relate to robots who grow feelings.
In a distant future, in an age of intelligent machines, he is the first robotic child programmed to love.
This Christmas, witness one robot's extraordinary 200-year journey
He learns and grows all the time.
to become
This is an external physical upgrade only.
an ordinary man.
At Nova Robotics, the future is in good hands.
You're doing real good. Just keep working on those last two bars.
Thanks to Dr. Newton Crosby.
Originally, I designed it as a marital aid.
But artificial intelligence has gotten too smart.
It's malfunctioning. It might not do anything.
But it could decide to blow away anything that moves, couldn't it?
So, time for some discussion questions. Will technology ever get this far? Is it only science fiction that can discuss this topic?
I don't think you're giving us our due credit. Our scientists have done things which nobody's ever done before.
Yeah, but your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could that they didn't stop to think if they should.
Let's talk about that. Thanks for watching.